What actually happens when you stop arguing, stop explaining, and quietly walk away from someone? Most people think leaving makes you weak, as if staying and fighting proves loyalty. But in reality, walking away triggers something far more powerful than shouting ever could. When you remove yourself, you remove comfort. Even unhealthy comfort is something people grow attached to without realizing it. We don't just get attached to people, we get attached to patterns. Let's break this down clearly. First, the comfort shock. When you were present, you were predictable. You replied, you showed up, you tolerated. Even your arguments kept the connection alive. There was a pattern, and that pattern felt stable. The moment you step back, the pattern breaks. Human beings are wired for familiarity. Even unhealthy familiarity can feel safer than uncertainty because at least it's known. So when you walk away, it doesn't just feel like distance to them. It feels like instability. They're not only losing you, they're losing the version of reality where you were always available. That sudden disruption feels uncomfortable, and people often confuse that discomfort with heartbreak, when sometimes it's simply the shock of losing what felt guaranteed. Second, the control disruption. When you stay in someone's orbit, even while unhappy, they feel a sense of control over the dynamic. They know how to trigger you, how to pull you into conversations, how to keep the cycle alive. They know how to predict your reactions. But when you walk away calmly and without chaos, that leverage disappears. They can't predict you anymore. They can't access you the same way. And unpredictability creates anxiety. What they often feel in that moment isn't just sadness, it's the discomfort of losing control. And nothing unsettles the ego faster than realizing it no longer has power over the situation, especially if it assumed that power was permanent. Third, the mirror effect. When you are constantly present, people rarely pause to reflect on their own behavior. Your availability becomes a buffer against self-examination. But when you leave, silence creates space, and space forces awareness. This is where the thinking of Carl Jung becomes relevant. Jung believed that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives and we will call it fate. In simple terms, people avoid confronting parts of themselves they don't want to see. When you step away, you remove the distraction. Without you there to argue with or lean on, they are left alone with their own patterns, and that can feel deeply uncomfortable. Your absence becomes a mirror, not because you're trying to punish them, but because without you absorbing the emotional weight, they are forced to face themselves. And not everyone is ready for that level of clarity. Fourth, the ego reaction. Walking away calmly sends a message of self-respect. It says that your peace matters more than continuing a draining dynamic. For someone who assumed you would always stay, that realization can bruise the ego. The ego doesn't like being the one who wasn't chosen. It doesn't like losing access. So reactions may follow: guilt trips, blame, sudden affection, or attempts to pull you back in. But beneath those reactions is usually the same feeling: powerlessness. The story they had about themselves, about always having access to you, has been disrupted. And when someone's internal story gets shaken, emotions rise quickly. Fifth, the reality shift. Your presence may have felt permanent to them. It may have felt guaranteed. When that guarantee disappears, it forces a reality check. Some people grow from that moment. They reflect and improve. Others resist it and project blame. But either way, your absence forces awareness. And awareness is rarely comfortable, especially when it challenges long-held assumptions. In the end, walking away isn't about punishing someone or proving a point. It's about alignment. It's about recognizing when something no longer supports your growth and choosing peace over chaos. It's about protecting your energy instead of constantly explaining it. So what do people really feel when you walk away? They feel the loss of comfort. They feel the disruption of control. They feel exposed to their own patterns. They feel the sting of ego. But while they process all of that, you experience something else entirely: freedom. And that freedom is the real power behind walking away. That is it for today, guys. See you in the next one.